So we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. So if everybody would stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, by all. Okay. The meeting minutes. Has everybody looked at the meeting minutes? Is that a yay? Everybody's looked at them?
I move to approve.
Second.
Beth, was that you that made the second?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. All those in favor, I guess that would be Mitch and Jay. Do you approve?
Well, we'll take a
So the
roll
meeting
call.
minutes. What's that?
We'll take a roll call, right?
Sure. I mean, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So I'll name your municipality and you can say this will be for roll call and approving of the minutes. Then you just give me your name. Laporte County,
Mitch, you're muted.
Mitch Bishop.
Jay Sullivan.
Yay.
okay, thank you. City of Laporte,
Nick Minnick, yes.
thank you. Michigan City,
Nope.
pardon me,
No, they're not
Michigan.
here.
Kingsbury, Kingsford Heights, Lacrosse, do I name them all, Charles?
No.
Okay. Transport Laporte,
Yes.
thank you. Then looks like that's it.
Okay.
That concludes roll call.
Okay. Did everyone get a copy of the spending plan I sent out this morning?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And that was, as I mentioned, that was as of 5 o'clock last night. So there's other changes in there, but for the most part, just want to let everybody know through INDOT and IIJA, we're getting an extra $450,000 annually. And that increases by about $50,000 every year. So $450,000 in 22, 510 in 23, 565 in 24, 622 in 25, and 26 at 679. Yes?
Yes, I include Michigan cities. I know you stated before they're dropping off some funds. So does that include that as
That
well?
includes Michigan. That's group 2.
Okay.
Where it usually does, but not.
We spoke before. You said there were some projects that they weren't undertaking and there'd be additional funds through. Michigan.
These are just additional funds that we're getting from IIJA.
Yeah, okay. That's what I thought. Just checking.
I'm sorry, Charlie.
So
Charles, from who?
what's that?
Additional funds from who?
IIJA. Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act.
Yep.
The recent
Okay.
bill that Congress passed.
Yep. Just wanted to make sure I had that. And what was the additional you said the increase per year?
About $50,000 a year.
Roughly 50K. Okay.
It's in the agenda.
Yeah.
Um,
Number 4.
Have you seen the agenda, Craig?
all the way down.
think that's what next.
Yeah, it's on number 4.
It's on NERC's website is the agenda,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
but I can,
I see it.
okay. So, and then right below it is the total that we're getting every year.
Okay,
And now these funds are, we have extra in 22 because we loaned some funds to MACOG and we got those back.
No.
Yeah, I see it. Okay.
I have everybody go out and make around, just, we don't want to get short.
So,
Check me on that. We'll make around.
now I just recently found out that
Steady,
Laporte's project is getting moved to, Laporte's Chessie Trail project is going to have to move to 2023 or 2024. We haven't figured that out, but it isn't going to make the letting in 2022. So,
Charles, should we have our meeting tomorrow before we determine that, or is that?
yeah, well,
determined?
it's okay. We have an extra, that project aside, we have an extra $737,000 to use this year. So, now I know Laporte County is going to be asking for some additional funds for their signs. So we'll see what the construction is on that when that comes out. But I think that includes it. What I've got, that $737,000 includes that extra money for that. So does anybody have any, are there any requests for additional funds in 2022?
Beth, or do we have anybody else? We don't have anybody else with Michigan State Transit. Would it make sense to maybe move some buses forward just so that we don't lose? Because I don't know. I mean, we've got the north-south corridor, but that's, we just need some time on that. So either we.
Yeah,
One more money
actually,
or-
I'm going to talk with our transit, our staff, and figure out what we can do as far as for transit. There are no buses, I don't believe, that are eligible because we did bring forward a bus last year. So I'm not sure about any eligible buses. But I want to talk with other internal staff and see what our options are as far as transit.
And Nick, there's no paving projects that we could move in with that we can move into with that money?
Not into 22.
Not because of the
in
timing?
22.
Yeah, because of the timing. Okay.
Yeah,
And we honestly, we probably can't move design forward on anything because we can't get it through. We won't be able to get anything that we don't currently have a design phase for.
Because you'd have to commit those funds by April, correct?
Mhm.
May 1st.
By May 1st?
Yeah. So we will, I mean, you could probably get it through if you just started the RFP process, but it's kind of iffy right now. You're right at the end of the window, edge of the window, as far as getting any RFPs through. I mean, that would be, because you got your 30 days, and then you got to score the projects, you got to write the RFP, you got, put it out for
You
30
said this
days.
already accounts for the county's sign project?
Yes.
Oh, so this is an addition to,
Yes.
oh,
About the only thing I could think of is Laporte County's Michigan, the bridge over Trail Creek. Mitch, you're muted.
Yeah. So I spoke to our engineer in that USI, and the last discussion we had with them was it was going to be tight, the PE budget. But after discussing it further with him, he thinks he's going to be just fine now. So I do
Okay.
not need any additional funds for that. And then the signs, we were talking about $40,656, but that's based on construction estimates, and the letting is, I believe, February 12th or something. It's coming up. So
Yeah.
maybe this meeting in February, we'll have a definite number for that next upcoming meeting.
Park Street,
And we already programmed some additional PE money into Park Street,
okay.
and we're not gonna be able to get the right of way obligated in 2022.
Right,
Not a huge amount anyway.
right. And then we got Singing Sands, Laporte County's Singing Sands, as well as Lincoln Trail. I think those are all, we've discussed those and included those.
Yeah, in previous meetings, we had some additional funds given for Marquette Trail for right of way. So yeah, I think as of now, there's plenty of money.
So,
With the constraint of being fiscal, 22, that's,
Yeah.
there's only so many projects we can look at.
yeah. Right, and we can't, it's not like we can bring forward any construction projects.
Yeah.
So,
Could we think about a rules change and bring back B-list projects and try and get any type of planning or anything like that into this year?
that was a thought.
we could look at B-list projects.
Because we might have a couple of planning related projects that we could do pretty quickly, actually.
You got an RFP out, you can get an RFP out.
We can get one
Yeah,
out.
I think we could get one out.
So I guess, yeah, if you can get that, if you got a planning project or something like that, we're open.
Okay, interesting. So it would have to be, the RFP would have to be out and we'd have to select a consultant by May 1st.
Do you have
And get it approved, and go through the NDOT process. Now, the NDOT process doesn't take near as long
Right,
because the actual contract doesn't go from desk to desk to desk. It goes
yeah,
from
let us
one
think
email
about that.
box
If you're
to
willing to
another.
look at B-list projects, we'll think about that and get back with you.
Okay, get back to me as quickly as possible then.
Yeah, I mean, Nick and I will discuss it and
Yeah.
talk and, yeah,
But you have to have also the FEMAS and the PO before May.
Yeah.
1st.
Yeah, so the next amendment is gonna be put out. It's gotta be put out for public comment. Our next amendment was scheduled for April, but I'm sliding that up to March
I watched that second half area yesterday.
because our last one we just approved. And normally I don't do them this quick, but if I do April, it's almost too late because by the time the April will get into the STIP will be in May. Books are already closed. So we're gonna do March amendment.
Got a hill, yeah, you got to throw a little on there so you can get it done.
So instead of April.
all right, we'll see what we can do.
And it takes about 40 days before a commission meeting for an amendment. So we're looking to put it out the first week of February for public comment.
Do we essentially make our own rules for T-Rock, correct?
There are rules, but I mean, we can, like, what are you asking?
Could
Wanna-
we, would it be acceptable if I made a motion to allow us to, because anything that we would, any B-list type project, whether Laporte County has one or Michigan City has one, any of those projects would need vetted from this group. Could we do that electronically, possibly?
Yeah, that would, I don't think that, in this case, yeah, I would say that's not an issue.
Yeah.
What do you have a project? We can talk about it right now.
Craig may have some thoughts, but we talked about one of our next federal aid projects either being Polk Street Extension or
Yeah.
Lake Street Extension. Lake Street Extension we were kind of gearing more towards redevelopment commission because of timelines, but if we can actually push something like that forward. These are both vetted projects through our Heart of Laporte plan, so we have
Right.
them in a planning document.
Yeah.
They're both roadway extension projects. We're looking for the next NOFA probably to put at least one of them in.
So you didn't submit either one of these projects on the last NOFA?
We didn't have our Heart of Laporte plan approved at the time of the last NOFA, so we were just kind of waiting to see when that planning process was all complete.
Okay,
All you did for quite a while. All you did
And
so,
was about- So I was like right there, so I ran
do you
up.
want to discuss it now, or do you want to go through emails, or what?
I
I guess
don't
is what I'm
mind.
asking.
For in the interest of time, I don't mind just coordinating electronically and going through emails.
Mitch, Jay? What are your thoughts?
you're new. Yeah, that's fine. One thing the county never got done was a past project. It was wayfinding signs and KIP. We got an entrance sign done.
Yeah.
The bids came in high and we scrapped, even though we purchased the property and the easements, we scrapped 5 wayfinding signs on 1st to 5th. So there's 5 signs we got rid of. We didn't do. But we acquired all the land. That would be my, I would, I think if I remember right, the PE's done for all that. So if I was gonna do something really quick, that would be a priority of mine.
How
Well,
much is that,
you're
Mitch?
talking about installing signs?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if I mean, do you have the NEPA done?
There's only 5 signs. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'd have to look back, because it's been like 3 years, 4 years since that's been
So
done.
really, the only thing we can do PE, or we can do
Planning.
right away
Okay.
or planning.
So if I recall, that was one of John Krugerberg's projects, and I think that those signs were just pulled out because of funding,
Yep,
because the bids came in too high.
yep.
And you had to relet it, didn't you?
Yeah, it was reletted. That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember now. Yeah, I was.
So, yeah.
But
But the NEPA document and all that would have been done then.
Yeah, NEPA, everything would have been done. It'll just be construction.
It's just, and it came in ridiculously high, if I remember.
Yeah,
but
like
if
way
you,
over engineers' estimates. Like,
Yeah.
what would it look like having would you need a new DES number? Would you need a new contract number?
I think so.
I think so.
Because that might be the challenge is getting everything through, even though it had been approved. It's not approved
Final-
under a new DES number.
And final tracings would be due.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I was just thinking outside the box. And I
I
know
appreciate it, man.
Yeah, it's too bad we can't do that, Mitch,
Yeah.
because that'd be a slam dunk,
Yeah.
easy.
Right. But other than that, I don't know. You think of anything, Jay?
Who was your designer on that? Do you remember?
That would be Butler Fairman.
Jay,
Yeah.
Sorry, everybody. I've been trying to get Skylar helped in his connection, so I've been not paying much attention to that, just recent
I was gonna say
conversation.
Jake might be able to speak to the feasibility of doing that work.
Yeah, I think he did the right. Jake, remember the signs you did in the KIP? You did the right of way, or you just did the right? Or did you do PE? I forgot.
It turned out to be the majority of the effort being right away. I think there was a little bit of PE, but it was not very much. It was mostly just acquiring and right away services.
Okay. Oh yeah, it was Antero Group. That's who did the PE.
That's right.
Okay. Yeah, we were talking about, there's extra funds available in fiscal 22. And that project, originally the scope was to put in not only entrance sign in the KIP, but 5 other wayfinding signs. And, as you know, we only built the entrance sign. So we were trying to determine, what would be needed to, use the work, because environmental document's been done. The PE was done, I believe, for the whole thing. We acquired all the easements. We have the property under control. So what would be viable, but being in a tight time frame, I don't know. What's your opinion on it, Jake?
Well, trying to think of what you might need to do. So I think, I don't remember there being any permits or anything of that nature. So it's probably more or less getting contract documents in order for another letting. I don't remember the RFP process and how that was done, if that RFP was PE and right-of-way both, or if you only got right-of-way money. But if you didn't have PE
It was both. It
advertised,
was a separate process, because like I say, Antero was the designer, and then I got you on board for right away.
right. Okay, so if it were that you stuck with group and they still had all the required pre-qualifications, I guess I don't see any reason why you couldn't meet that timeline for funding to get PE for that completed.
Yeah. For the construction docks and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, they would have to do all the PE on their own because they couldn't wait until PE got approved.
Yeah, that's the thing. You have to re-advertise 30 days there.
Are you wanting to try to use the funds for construction rather than PE?
Oh, we can't, though, right? It can't be construction.
I don't think you can, but we
No.
we might be able to do. And really, would anybody really bid on those documents?
I would just say that if you're trying to use those funds for construction, I don't think you're going to make that timeline just because of NDOT's, for submittal documents, et cetera. There's simply no time. If you
Right.
needed more money to finish the PE, I think that's potentially feasible if you've already got the RFP process done, or can get it done in the next month and a half or so, 2 months.
Well, I would just wonder if the contract isn't closed out. Is it all closed out?
Oh,
If
it's
not closed out,
it's closed out because it was rebid.
Yeah.
And built, so it's basically starting from, the beginning
yeah.
because of that. All right, well, just thinking out loud.
Gotta appreciate that.
Yeah.
So, well, everybody put
Thanks
on
for
their
being on,
thinking
Jake.
caps. We, if someone's got use for PE funds, let me know sometime this week or next week at the very latest. Because right now, time is of the essence. And we can talk about 2023 at a later date, at the next T-Rock meeting, if need be. But right now, the next T-Rock meeting will be after May 1st.
Charles, I don't want to interrupt you there, but Skylar's been trying to get on for the last 20 or so minutes. I think he may have been able
He's
to
here.
get on.
I'm here.
I know
to get the connection to go through.
I know one of the things that he wanted to bring to your attention as a group was the funding set aside for right-of-way on the Michigan City. Trying to find it here on the spreadsheet you've got.
This is what we're calling the Liberty Trail Bike Ped. It's a complete street project that we received some funding for. And I hired Jake to do some scoping for us because we weren't quite sure exactly what we were going to do with that project because of just not unsure about exactly what we're going to design or construct. So they did some scoping. There's Jake, is it about, I think it's about 90,000 in right away that we're not going to be able to use this year, just due to the fact we're not going to be able to get a contract out on that. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, Jake.
No, Skylar, you're right. So it sounds to me like maybe this project sat for a little while and the time passed and the funding that was going to be local for engineering wasn't engaged until pretty recent. And as a result of that, there hasn't been any determination of what right-of-way is actually needed. So as a result, they obviously won't be able to spend those right-of-way funds in 2022. So
We're talking about Liberty
Yeah.
Trail.
Correct.
We have 46,500 for PE on that project. That's it.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
have any right away on that project.
Okay, so it was PE money that we have. Okay.
Yeah. Now that you're on, Skylar, is that enough?
Well, it's more or less. It's not about being enough. It's about being able to use it in the time frame. Is really what the issue is. Right now we have so what I've done is I engaged Jake and Butler Fairman Seifert to kind of do some stuff more or less outside of this project, outside of T-Rock, outside of NERPC. I engaged them to do a kind of a scoping to figure out what exactly we're going to do with that. And what we've done is they've given me 3 different options. We've picked an option that we think we're going to be able to construct. And really what we're looking for is honestly more construction money later on, but also just we know we're not going to be able to use that 46,000 in the time frame that we're in right now. And we are going to have some right away, but that right away won't come into play until later.
That much engineering, it could be pretty quick.
40 to 50 grand.
hey, Charles, can you?
So they can't use PE this year?
Jake, I don't think we're gonna be able to get it out quick enough. That's kind of my understanding.
Yeah, so let me back up for a minute if I might. I've pulled the sheet offline, Charles, and I just want some clarification because here it says that the $46,500 total with $37,200 in right-of-way in fiscal 22 is for right-of-way and states there's no PE funds. But you said there's an actual PE amount in 22 and no money in right-of-way?
On the spending plan, I have the funds in PE. I don't have them in right away.
Okay. So if it's a matter of the fact that there are not enough things to potentially go forward in 22 to use the funds available, Skylar, if you were able to move on an RFP for engineering, now Butler Fairman hasn't done any engineering on this to speak of at this point in time. If you went forward and did an RFP right away, you would have to really move quickly and certainly group weigh in, but to get under FEMA's authorization and purchase order by May 1 would be your deadline. So you would need to advertise that RFP as within the next couple days in order to make that happen. And then you could potentially get some PE funding, which we would need more. I should say Michigan City would need more PE funds than have been provided. And we did estimate that $208,000 for a project that was selected through the review of those alternatives Skylar talked about.
Yeah, I'll ask him in a second when he's done.
Right.
So I show in a recent admin mod that, or a recent amendment, I should say, that the funds were taken from right away and put in PE.
That's right. I remember doing that. Yeah. But we're still not going to be, I mean, there's no way to get, I mean, Jake, just being honest, there's no way to get an RFP out in the next 2 days, you know, just being
Probably
lo-
could.
about this.
Yeah, I apologize.
so-
I've got to jump off. I'll try and catch up on the recording of the meeting
Sidewalk.
when it's posted.
See you, Nick.
Sorry.
Was there sidewalk on that too?
Yeah.
So,
The approaches and
Yeah,
sidewalk.
that's right. I'll talk to you
You know,
about
in the
that.
back.
Because remember, he used to work for the county on that bridge.
Yeah.
PE.
so anyway, yeah, we're running to the end of the limit for getting an RFP out. So I don't know if that's even possible. So, but like I said, we won't lose the funds. They'll get flexed over to transit. However many funds that may be. So, Beth, and we'll figure out how we can get you those funds. Because you can't use them for operating expenses. But there's probably other things we can help with.
How about, I had a question to, I guess, Dad Jake's on there. So that same project, you said Liberty Trail Bridge or Liberty Trail, that bridge, as part of that, I remember we met out there quite a while, 2 years ago, and the county was gonna fix the approaches and also do some other work on the bridge to accommodate cyclists and, you know, bikers, walkers, whatever, trail enthusiasts.
Yeah.
But I know there is a PE element to that as well, for those approaches that need to be done. It's kind of separate, especially when you're talking approaches. That'd be separate from the trail, but it would, you know, be in this, obviously in the same bridge. It's something that's needed. And I remember you gave us a price for that to do PE, not only PE, but construction. I mean, to get out RFP, I think the big delay is this going to be getting your DB Eagle, which might take a day or two until they confirm that. But if we had, I think I still had the numbers for everything on that. Could that be a viable project? And I think it was 40 or 50,000, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, for PE. You're right. The DB Eagle request will take some time and then getting through the RFP. So that was a segment left out of the Michigan City project because it's the county's bridge. I'm not sure who this question is for. Probably is NERC and an NDOT question, but could there be an agreement between Michigan City and Laporte County to have us design that under the RFP where we were selected for the trail?
Are we talking about Singing Sands? Or are we talking about Liberty Trail?
This is Singing Sands. This would be
Okay.
a phase that we just completed the construction of phase 2, and we gapped out a section of this bridge that Mitch is alluding to because they were considering alternatives.
Yeah.
So if they made a decision on the alternative, could they agree to allow Michigan City to basically take the lead on that under their trail design contract with us in order to get that design complete?
We get all those easements.
I'd have to look a little bit deeper on our end, but if it's an option, I can do so.
I mean, in all reality, Charles, it really kills two birds with one stone in that Liberty Trail still goes across the bridge because it's from Springland to Washington Park Boulevard. To
Right.
Lake. But you also have Singing Sands Trail, which goes across that bridge as well. So,
Well, NDOT's going to want it on its own DES number. Because first off, you have two different LPAs. And it's a bridge, so NDOT likes being able to track. They like that the counties or NDOT can track the bridges. So, it would have to be its own DES number.
So that's shot.
And is this part of the Marquette?
Yes.
Yeah,
So that's gonna be, we got the Raise and Ready grants, raise funds for that. So that might be a different conversation to be had. Okay. I
yeah, that
mean,
makes sense.
I'd like to, oh, we received funds. We received 17 million to finish the Marquette Trail from Chicago to New Buffalo. So, and I think some of that's gonna be going through the NOFA this fall anyway. I'm not sure. So I'd like to table that conversation though.
Right.
So, moving on, everybody can kind of think about that. We'll figure out if anybody has any last minute requests or ideas, give me a call.
Do we need a motion on the 40,000 for the event still?
No, we're not right.
Okay,
Right.
we need for your singing signs, for your signs.
Oh,
No,
not, yeah, actually, we're waiting for the actual letting, right? Yeah.
right.
So yeah, exact number.
Okay, so we got that.
Right here.
Perfect. No, I get
Yeah,
that.
just a narrow one, but it says.
I like your hat,
it's,
though.
16, but-
So, moving on, we have the NOFA update.
Oh, I talked to Brandon once, he said it wasn't. You know,
Let me share my,
Yeah, could have been. But, you know,
share my screen. So the investment WI, it's the NOFA. So what's new this year? We made some adjustments. As you know, we've got as you probably know, we have a NOFA continuous improvement plan working group. It's 12 people. We're working through a lot of the questions and issues from past NOFAs to make them better. I pretty much talked with everybody to get their input on other things. So just because you're not part of this process doesn't mean you're part of the process. We've reached out to other people. So if you've given us a comment in the past, we've probably followed up and got additional comments moving on that. This year, our goal is to get all applications to be completed with your submission. So therefore, if you need a road safety audit, we're going to start those this summer. And we'll be doing those. If you need one of those, if you need CMAQ calculations, let us know. We'll work with you on those. And then the three areas that we really needed tightening on was what was a legacy project? What's a transformational project? And PE right-of-way funding. Now, granted, most of this is for Lake Porter. They've got a lot more money and a lot more players in there. But a lot of it does apply to Group 2. So a transformational project, as mentioned in NERC's long-range plan by name, it's probably going to have more than one project in the suite or portfolio project. The north-south corridor is a perfect example of a transformational project. And each phase that applies must stand on its own when applying for the NOFA. Transformational projects will have their own category. And this category is going to be limited to a percentage of the 5-year tip. So whatever. In Lake and Porter, it'll be somewhere around 11 million. I would imagine in Laporte, it's going to be much smaller, but we're going to be willing to work with the LPAs on that certain amount. We want to grow, but yet we don't want to kill all of we do need to take care of what we have. So any transformational projects will be let in July. There's just so many risks or possibilities for risks on these type of projects, the size. We can't let them move from year to year. Other projects will compete with their own traditional categories. And like I said, these will be in their own categories. So it's more apples to apples and oranges to oranges. So PE and right-of-way funding in the past, some have opted to do their own PE and right-of-way, and others have opted to get it from NERC. There's still a need, we know that, as we see today earlier, if we can fund PE and right-of-way. And then in the future, we'll ask for your PE and right-of-way totals on the application. I really don't care about the PR, even though I put it on here, but I'm looking for PE. And still, again, PE and right-of-way is not guaranteed. It'll be awarded solely on scoring. And we're not going to be afraid to leave money for later NOFAs. So bridges are also an important part. And we know that those are expensive, and we'll continue to support bridges, and they'll have their own funding category. So Mitch will be able to help you out on bridges some. That's what we've done in the past, and we'll continue going forward. So on March 31st, we're planning on having a communities workshop. We'll be discussing several things. We'll be looking at LPA partnerships, and the way we've done it in the past just hasn't been working. So we're looking to tighten that up a little bit. Federal Highway's been talking a lot lately about safety. And I'll talk about that in a little bit, but so I imagine there's going to be a lot more emphasis on HSIP projects. We'll also be talking about, at the workshop, we'll be talking about living streets and green infrastructure, and how it's much more than just bioswales in the right of way. We'll also work through CMAQ applications, HSIP applications, and plan some road safety audits. So a lot of those are difficult to figure out. The whole idea is that when you submit your application in October, that we have a good project, a solid project, and they're the best projects that you can put forward. So really the whole process, the NOFA process, is going to start earlier. You'll be working with, if you're working with a designer to put in projects, you can talk to them earlier. Hopefully the conversation will start earlier. So not everybody's rushing around at the last minute trying to put down projects and end up by throwing spaghetti against the wall, hope to see what sticks. So, and then later on in the fall, again, it'll be the same schedule like past, somewhere around the middle of September, the NOFA applications open up and will close middle of October. By all means, you can talk to us during the summer if you have any questions, or you can wait till after the NOFA application. We'll still meet one-on-ones. Those are still important. Like I said, we want the best projects to be brought forward. So Anyway. That was that on the NOFA update. And moving on to other new business. Federal Highway, like I mentioned just briefly a minute ago, there's been a lot of talk about highway safety and working toward a vision zero. They are closely looking at a safe system approach. Safe system approach is an international program. I think it was started in Sweden and has since been adopted by several other European countries and New Zealand and Australia also. But really, it's all about adding HSIP funding. There's different ways of identifying the problems, and we'll look through these and figure out which ones work best for NERC. But really, it's based on 6 foundational principles. Death and serious injuries are unacceptable. Even a death by one person is unacceptable. So we'll first work on working on those lower hanging fruits, trying to identify those roads that need work and getting those roads safer. Humans do make mistakes. We all realize that. Humans are vulnerable. Responsibility is shared. So it's not, we all understand that it's much more than just reducing the speed limit on a road. And if we reduce the speed limit, that isn't going to necessarily make people drive slower. It's making the road safer, making it safer for everybody, and includes making vehicles safer too, which I think over time will come. Safety is proactive, so we're not going to wait. Federal Highway doesn't want to wait until there's been an accident. If we know there's an unsafe area, they want us to work on it sooner than later. And then redundancy is critical. That way, if one area is deficient, then another area can pick it up. In other words, we can lower the speed limit, but maybe we ought to work on getting the road safer and also lowering the speed limit, and not relying on just lowering the speed limit to make the road safer. So the 5 spokes, as we can see here, safe road users, making the road safe for everybody, vehicles, pedestrians, handicap, as well as vehicles. Safe vehicles, safe speeds, safe roads, and then post-crash care, and that's getting the ambulances to the site as quickly as possible and getting those people to the hospitals as quickly as possible. And that's all I had on that. So, like I said, there's been a lot of talk from Federal Highway, and it looks like there may even be the systemic approaches might even be expanded to include sidewalks of some sort. I've asked them about it earlier this year, a couple weeks ago, and they said that no, not right now. Sidewalks are not part of HSIP, but it's looking like they might be in the future. So that's something we can discuss, or they're looking at right now. So moving on to 6B, local quarterly meetings are February 8th, the 10th, and the 15th. I think I've sent a meeting invite out to everybody. So if you didn't get a quarterly meeting, let me know and I'll get one out to you. Skylar, I hope that you can attend because we need to decide what's going to happen with some of the funds that that Michigan City has.
Yep, I'll be there.
So, the reports were due last Thursday in either LTAP or RTIP. If your project's already been done and completed and closed, don't worry about it. RTIP still asks for it, but don't worry about it. And then moving on, we still don't have an approved 22 to 2026 tip. NDOT is working on that and getting the new STIP approved, but they told me that what I've heard is that sometime in February it'll be approved. So I'm thinking that it'll be approved sometime around March 1st. There's a lot of confusion. So we have 3 amendments, one in July, one in September, and one in December, or excuse me, January, that we have out there. And those haven't been approved yet. So most of those were just going through and correcting some of the projects or adding projects in the 22 and 23. But we'll see. Once that's approved, I'll be doing a mad rush to go through those and make sure that everything is correct. But right now, if there's a project and you noticed in RTIP, look in RTIP, if you have a project that doesn't look correct, let me know, because I can't address it. I've looked through it, but there may be something where I'm too close and I don't see it. So, it's better to find it out earlier than later. Is there any other new business? Okay. Our next T-Rock meeting is going to be May 17th. Other meeting dates for 2022 include August 16th, November 8th, and then February 14th of 2023. So, and I'll let you know if those are in person or what the format is later. Okay. If there's nothing else, we can adjourn. Okay, thank you, everyone.